Only a 12th level intellect has the slightest hope of surviving what you are about to experience.
We're talking about the Justice League comic. Trying to think of something topical.
I always just look around the room like, what's in my room? What can I talk about that's in here?
Did you've read issue number 2 already?
Uh-huh. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a thing. Well, we'll talk about that though eventually.
I mean, we could talk about the opening and like how issues 1 and 2's had different ways of communicating, and how we do an audio podcast, but maybe we'll do like a Swamp Thing broadcast in space podcast, or a
yeah, we can offer that
Martian
as a Patreon,
telepathy podcast.
Patreon reward tier. We will have Swamp Thing communicate with you as us through a magic flower.
Yeah, you'll think it's just a flower in your room, but all of a sudden, whoa, it's a Swamp Thing, but it's James and Ted talking to you
For
directly
$100 a month
in your room.
You too can see Ted Kendrick as a mystical flower.
That's what they call me. Mystical flower. Or we'll have a Martian telepathy perk also for the less I don't know if it might be less invasive than a Swamp Thing flower. It might be more invasive.
Batman impressions as we speak to you.
Yeah,
that was good. You mentioned that last time that there were good jokes from
there were.
And I liked it. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm the goddamn Wonder Woman or whatever. Redacted. I'm the redacted, censored Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, hey, that was pretty good.
Well, that was an intro.
It sure was. I hope you liked it. Welcome back to the 12th Level Intellects, the bi-weekly geek entertainment podcast hosted by the Watchtower Database.
That's a new description.
That's straight from your blog, Ted.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's I've been struggling to find the right way to word that, and then
bi-weekly
you apparently
geekly
did it months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
Which
story
is
of my life.
TedKendrick.com.
I wake up and realize, oh shit, I did that months ago.
Yeah.
Why was I worried about that?
Well, today we're going to be talking about more fan theories from the DCAU. We've done a couple episodes on this, and we started doing this a long time ago prior to this being a podcast. So we're on episode 20 today.
That's a
which
big
means
number.
We've been doing this for 40 weeks now.
Nice.
But however long that is, like almost a year, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, we're getting there.
So there's a lot of stuff coming out this morning, news-wise, because the DC Universe app finally released a trailer, like an official, like, here's what's going to be on it, or what can you expect.
It looks a lot like the Watchtower Database trailer, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, kind of. I beat him to it. No. It'd be funny if they used the same stock music or something. It goes like that.
Yep.
And I can sing the
But no, it had a
later.
lot of stuff from the movies. Like I recognize Batman Returns, Batman Forever,
Yep.
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
He sure was. The first trailer I saw was just on Twitter, and it was like half as long as the real one, and it showed that same Catwoman clip from Batman Returns, and then it just went into a bunch of clips from like Public Enemies and other animated movies.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool, but like, where's the DCAU? Is that not going to be on this? And then I watched the longer trailer, and it has like
Batman.
a Hawk and Dove Ares clip,
yeah.
and it has a couple other things. Yeah.
It'll be there. Don't
And
worry
it says
about
Batman
it.
animated series for a second, I think. So I'm sure it'll all be there. Yeah.
Yeah, along with like just like you mentioned, almost every animated movie, and
there's
the original series that they're doing through the service, which is the
Yeah.
live action Doom Patrol,
like-
Swamp Thing, Titans, animated Harley
Right.
Quinn, and Young Justice season 3.
There's also clips from like Fleischer Superman and stuff that I didn't expect to be on there.
Nice.
I think
They're going all
at
the way
one
back.
time, we like hypothesized that why not just put like everything ever.
I think I saw the
onto this,
Supergirl
and I think
movie.
that's what's happening. Yeah,
A
yeah,
clip from that too, from Supergirl.
yeah,
I bet they have Steel.
yeah. They just didn't want to
We
have
can
and Catwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. There's a lot of cool stuff. They also showed a a brief glimpse at some Justice League action figures in the same like new what do you call that? I'm not an action figure guru. Where they have like a bunch of joints.
Multi-articulation.
There you go. Action figures like they've been doing for Batman the Animated Series and Superman and that kind of stuff. So we got like a weird glimpse of the Jon Jones one a couple months ago that like was online for 3 seconds and then and took it down, but everybody was posting it anyway.
Rumors were saying they were canceled, but I guess not.
Yeah, it's I guess not.
Yeah, because here they are now.
Or they're on their way. But yeah, that's all pretty cool stuff. Looking forward to that. We've already talked about most of what might be on there or will be on there, but I'm looking forward to seeing what else.
Well, I read this week that DC Comics is releasing these giant 100-page specials straight to Walmart with some really talented artists. I wish that it wasn't going straight to Walmart, but
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if like my comic shop would go to Walmart and just buy them all and put them in their store. That's probably not legal. But yeah, it's got stories
Do
like
not resell,
Tom
except
King,
if it comes from Walmart.
Tom King, who's currently writing the Batman series, is writing a Superman story, and then Brian Michael Bendis, who's writing Superman, is writing a Batman story with Nick Darrington on art. I'm excited about that one. Nick Darrington did the recent Doom Patrol stuff with Gerard Way.
Yeah, it looked like there might be some past stuff also in there, like stuff that already exists.
Yeah,
or they were at least using that on the cover to advertise it.
Yeah, and kind of along that line, GameStop has also announced that they're going to start selling comics on display racks in their stores. Yeah. So you can start buying comic books at GameStop.
I wonder if that's good for the comic industry to continue to thrive, or if it's bad for like small comic shops because they're. I don't know.
I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from there. But I think it's a good move. And it's really nostalgic because comics you used to. I mean, at least I had one grocery store when I was a kid that had some comics on the display rack there. So it was like going through the checkout line. You can kind of flip through the rack and get some stuff. So I think it's like a callback to that.
Okay,
and that's kind of gone away since the rise of specialty comic shops.
Yeah, I think I'd mentioned before that I asked on my this town I live in's Reddit a while ago, like, where do I buy comics? And some guy was just, I remember when comics were at Safeway. I was like, yeah, that doesn't help me.
Not anymore.
But yeah, and we just got a Walmart here too, and everybody's really upset about it because they're like, all the local businesses are gonna die and all this stuff. But like, I feel like everyone's just gonna continue to go to those businesses regardless, and just go to Walmart if they need a T-shirt at midnight, like I did the other day. So
yeah, Walmart's for emergencies, I guess. Cool. You got another piece of news?
The only other thing I had was something that I hope to not spend a long time talking about because I'm kind of tired of talking about it. But there's rumors that, and by rumors I mean like some people that actually worked on the movie are kind of coming out and talking about it. The Zack Snyder cut of Justice League is more likely to exist than we thought at this point, I guess. But it's all kind of conjecture. Long story short, I guess for a long time. Ever since the movie came out, all the like hardcore Zack Snyder follower fans have been clamoring for, hey, give us his movie instead. Yeah, yada yada yada. A lot of people think that it was completed. I'm of the mind that it's not, but it still might exist as like a weird kind of ramshackle.
I'm sure the visual effects probably wasn't totally done.
Yeah, it would be like a half completed, half like storyboards and animatics and stuff like that.
Basically the main villain in Batman versus Superman personified as a movie. It's not Doomsday, but it's sort of Doomsday, but it's not really.
That's a good description of the Justice League movie.
Yeah.
It's not Doomsday, but it's sort of Doomsday.
Yeah.
But so yeah, apparently there's just like concept artists and editors and stuff that on Justice League that are kind of like tweeting out like, hey, yeah, it is real. I've seen it. I watched it. I put it together or whatever. And so now, of course, there's like this petition to have it released and all this stuff, like an online petition. it's a little out of hand, but I guess it's cool to see. I would still like to see it myself,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna die if I never see it.
I heard a rumor that they might be saving it to put up on the DC Universe streaming channel for real. I mean, I don't know. That's not confirmed, but
I mean, even if it took like a couple years of just, I don't know.
it shouldn't take a couple of years.
I don't want them to
anything.
actually complete it. Like, 'cause I don't want it to necessarily be like a
An
oh,
alternate
we
version
were
of the
wrong.
movie.
Here's the actual movie.
Because that's
I
what they've
just
done
want it
with
to be
every other
something to
movie.
see.
It's like every
Yeah.
movie they put out, except for
Yeah.
maybe Wonder Woman, is like, okay, well, here's the director's cut. You know?
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't give
Which
this to you the first time.
I guess it's good that Warner Brothers might not do it, because then they are actually like sticking to their guns like I always want them to do. But I don't know. Whatever. This whole
complicated.
thing's such a mess.
And also, so is the Batman movie by Matt
Yeah.
Reeves. I have a piece of
Yeah.
news. Rumors say
Okay.
that it might be set in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie
Yeah.
universe now. So it's always like, is it not part of the DCEU?
Yeah, there
what
was
is
some
this Batman
article
movie?
that listed out like every movie that DC in the last, like, since Man of Steel has announced that they're maybe working on.
Like 3
and it's
Harley
like 40
movies.
different movies that,
Yeah.
we never know what
Like 3 different
what's
Joker
happening.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's obviously they're not working on all of, they're not doing Harley Quinn the
Yeah.
movie. They're not doing Birds of Prey. They're not doing Gotham City Sirens. Like they might do 1 or 2 of those,
Right.
but
I mean, not to bring Marvel into it, I guess, but at least they do like they wait until, a big Comic-Con event kind of thing to announce like, here's the title, we are doing Black Panther, and everyone goes crazy.
Yeah.
Instead, DC goes like, hey, we're gonna do this on
Maybe.
like a weird article. Yeah, maybe.
They're just
And
throwing
then
out
people
character
go, oh, that
names.
might be interesting, and then they throw it in the trash can. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they're keeping us on our toes.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one more piece of news. It's about
Sure.
the Star Wars universe. So Solo didn't do as well as Disney wanted it to, and disappointed with the box office numbers. They put the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie on hold. The Boba Fett movie by James Mangold was also put on hold, and maybe the standalone Yoda movie. Basically, all of their standalone Star Wars stories movies were put on hold.
Yeah.
So-
See, I've heard back and forth because
Yeah.
Solo, because it did so bad or whatever, but then now they're also saying, oh, that was not actually true. We're just reanalyzing, like reassessing what we're going to do with them or something.
Well, hopefully, yeah, because I know a lot of fans boycotted Solo, but they really wanted the Obi-Wan movie. I heard that the sequel to Solo might involve Obi-Wan because they're setting up Darth. Little spoilers.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
So none of these characters get to interact with each other. Like, Han Solo can't see Obi-Wan Kenobi, or else why would he not know who he
Well,
was in the
wouldn't-
cantina and stuff?
Doesn't Obi-Wan? Isn't he familiar with Han in Episode 4?
Maybe.
Because he's
I
like,
don't know.
I'm
all
taking
the
this to
Star
see a
Wars nerds
smuggler.
know the ins and outs of these little minutia, like
Yeah.
we do with
Well,
other things, but I don't know.
Obi-Wan
these
sets up the
things.
meeting with Han at the cantina, so he must have heard of him somewhere,
I guess so.
if not had met him briefly before. But I don't know. It's not really.
What's the in-universe equivalent to a 12th level intellect in the Star Wars canon?
That's a good question.
A real smarty pants. We aren't one of those.
It's
Star
probably a
Wars,
Jedi Master.
I guess. A Sith Lord. All right, well, let's get out of this. We're gonna do. We have a giant list of fan theories that we've been going through for a long time. We also asked you, the listener, to send us your favorite DCAU fan theories on YouTube. So we'll have a little bit of a mix of these on our lists that of the ones that we have left.
These are a
there's
total
handful
surprise
that
to me.
pertain.
I have no idea
Huh?
what we're about to talk about.
Yeah. I'm looking through this myself. So I picked out ones that are specific to Batman Beyond because I figured we can get a chunk out of the way by doing that.
Okay.
So the first one that I have is, but by the way, these are all I have to re-explain every time. But these are all things that just at one point I went and looked up as many DCAU fan theories as I could find on different message boards and subreddits and all this stuff, and just kind of wrote them down. And I completely forgot to credit anybody that I actually found these from. So if you're listening to this and you're like, "Hey, I made that up," I'm sorry. Cool, good job. So I'll start off with kind of a lame one. Do you remember you remember the T gang? In Batman Beyond, they are
Fat T.
They're like
He was led by Fat T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like the Jokers, but they're just they like have white painted skin and they have like big red T's over their faces.
Just like
And I never made this connection while watching the show because I didn't know about this other character, but Mr. Terrific also has a very similar design to that. He's just a guy with a big T over his face. So while this is a very loose fan theory, there is one that the T's were influenced by Mr. Terrific. Maybe they perhaps were working with him like the mutants in Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight Returns, how they work with Batman and put like bats over their faces. Maybe, but like they were working with him and then he died, and so then they started perverting what he stood for, and they're rivals with the Jokers because they used to fight them as good guys. But all of this is just like there's no evidence for this.
The
at all.
only
It's just
evidence
like
is
a
that they
fun-
have T's on their face.
Yeah. So I mean, we used to do like a what was it, plausible or unlikely. I would say plausible. Yeah, but we have no way of knowing.
Yeah,
it's a cool idea.
And that would be the Michael Holt version of Mr. Terrific that we saw in JLU. He's got the black T over his face with the red eyes. That's kind of his mask get up.
Which I guess recently in New 52-ish stuff has been changed to a red T.
Oh yeah,
if I'm not, if
you're right.
not mistaken. So that's probably not still connected.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then there was the Golden Age Mr. Terrific. Wore like red and green. That was kind of his main get up. And he was actually the father or grandfather, I could be wrong, to Roulette, the supervillain who does all the meta brawls. Yeah, she's related to the Golden Age Mr. Terrific, who is not related to Michael Holt at all, except by name.
Then there's precedence for a Mr. Terrific to have a legacy, so it's even more evidence that it's true. Okay, we got another one. Ace, Bruce's dog is named after the Royal Flush Gang's Ace. I think that's pretty certain. Not at the time. It was just, Ace the Bat Hound. That's a character already. That's what they're doing in Batman Beyond is incorporating him in
do we
a
know
way
how
that makes
old
sense.
Ace is in dog years in Batman Beyond? Is that a Maddie question? This might be a question for
I don't
Maddie.
think we ever really know.
Let's have Maddie do a vanishing point about Ace the Bat Hound.
Yeah, that's your new homework, Maddie.
Dog years.
Find the age of a dog that we only see flashbacks of twice and never know what year the flashback takes place in.
It's going to be easier than Scooby-Doo. That dog's been around for 50 years.
40 years. So yeah, I mean, Ace's the origin of Ace the dog's name is never given. Batman was obviously moved by Ace's death. The only other thing listed here with this one is the dog is a reminder of Bruce's greatest failure. Is that really his greatest failure? Is Ace dying?
No, it wasn't a failure. That was the goal. Was like, we got to kill her, but we're gonna do it humanely. Remember, Amanda Waller was like, "You gotta zap her with this thing," and he's like, "No, I'm not gonna
fail. He succeeded, I guess."
Yeah, it was just a reminder that like even the crazy villains are human. We can show them some mercy.
Well, what would you say his greatest failure is?
Ooh.
Perhaps Andrea Beaumont or
Tim Drake, maybe.
Yeah. But not correct, not successfully letting Ace die. I guess. I don't know.
I don't think that's... Anyway.
Okay, well, that one's pretty quick. So the other ones that I have, or there might be one more here. We did the T's. We did Ace. Okay, there's one more before I get into epilogue ones that I'll mention.
Mm.
So Joker, he dies. Yeah,
What?
we're aware of this.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
When?
Sorry.
And how many episodes does he die? Because a few, right?
Yeah, he dies in
World's
The
Finest?
Last Laugh. He
Oh,
falls
okay.
off of a thing into a shark tank.
Oh, that'll get
Anyway.
you.
So he explodes in World's Finest in a giant plane
With all the marbles.
and turns into pudding.
Right.
Uh,
At this point, he probably is.
so anyway, so for realsies, he dies in the Return of the Joker flashback, but there is a censored version and an uncensored version. In the uncensored, the uncut version, he gets shot by Tim Drake with the dart gun, the bang dart gun, and then in the censored version, he falls into a tank of water and then
slips
and
on a
gets
puddle.
electrocuted.
Yeah.
So since he dies in two different ways, which death is the real death? And so this isn't really a fan theory. It's just more of a weird continuity thing, I guess. I would say, to me personally, I consider the uncut version of the movie to be like the real movie, and then the censored one is kind of a weird Elseworlds baby down version of the movie.
Yeah, we don't need a world where the Batmobile has seatbelts.
Yeah. I mean, I think it does in the cartoon is the weird thing. Like, they might have actually just forgotten that. There's a couple of we have a whole video on all the changes between the versions of the movie, and there's a couple changes for the censored one where they actually fixed something that was incorrect, like an animation error, or they forgot to put in the chair one time in the Batmobile. There's a couple things like that that are actually improved, but most of it is just they took out punches or they took out different blood and stuff like that.
Well, my thought on the death is I'm of the same mind as the original Star Wars. So Tim shot first.
Tim shot first.
Yeah. Hashtag Tim shot first.
That makes I mean it makes it a lot more heartbreaking for Tim, I guess, if he was that's his only way out is he had to kill the Joker, versus the other way he pushes
broke
Joker
Batman's
into water and
greatest
then
rule.
Joker accidentally kills himself.
Batman's no killing. That's why Tim Drake is his greatest failure, because he had to.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so yeah, I think that's a pretty. I mean, there's really no real answer, but I'd say
We'll have to ask Matthew Valencia.
yeah. Hey, when you said the phrase "hero time" in the flashback, in your only line in the flashback, or maybe he says one other thing, I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
but
it's Andrea
then,
Romano who plays him during that
crying
scene.
and laughing.
Yeah.
But okay, so the only other ones I have are very epilogue heavy, and I would say if you have not seen Epilogue, do not listen to this part of the podcast, and I'll put a little time code in the thing.
This might be a
Skip
short
ahead.
podcast.
Yeah, keep Epilogue a secret.
We're already at the epilogue.
So, this one is yeah, okay. So Warren and Mary McGinnis got divorced because Warren suspected Mary of cheating on him.
Yeah, because none of his kids look like him.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this a little bit at some point. But yeah, his kids both have black hair, which we of course find out later is because of Bruce Wayne's DNA in the mix. But we never get a reason for their divorce on the show. And Warren is a research scientist, so he probably could have deduced that Mary cheated on him.
Paternity test, probably. It wouldn't have shown up positive.
You don't really have to be a research scientist to see that your kids look nothing like you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that's plausible. Yeah,
I think likely, actually. Yeah.
Because I mean, they don't really. Do we ever see Warren and Mary in a scene together?
Only in Epilogue when they're walking the theater.
Because I think because Warren dies so early on in the series and in the first episode, I think. So the only scenes we see of the parents during that time is just when Terry's at their different places. So we never see them actually interact to see do they not like each other because of this thing or that thing. So there's no other explanation really, I guess. Superman knows Terry is Bruce's son. This is deduced from the fact that at the end of The Call, which is the Justice League Batman Beyond episode, Terry's walking away, and they're saying something about like, "Oh, you're a lot like," or he says, "I'm like just like the original Batman because I'm not going to be a part of the Justice League." And then Superman says, like, "More than you know, son. More than you know." And like maybe at the time they just had him say that because of, you know, personality wise, he's sort of like Bruce, and he does a lot of Batman-y things. But I'm pretty sure that they've mentioned that they knew they were going to make Terry Bruce's son at some point during the production, so they probably potentially threw that in on purpose.
Yeah, I think it's very plausible. And Superman's got X-ray vision and telescopic vision, microscopic vision, whatever. He can read people's DNA codes if he wanted
I suppose.
to. If he wanted to.
It's a little of a stretch, maybe, though. Like, why?
He could.
I don't know. Sure.
He probably could.
Yeah. So I think
he also had Starro on his chest that whole time, and Starro's got telepathy. So there might have been something there in the back.
Well, do we see Starro has telepathy other than just being able to control the mind of the person he's touching?
No, that's about it. Yeah. So maybe Starro knew that Superman knew that Terry was Bruce's son.
Yeah, that Terry knew, that Bruce knew, which is the last one I have. Is Bruce Wayne has always known Terry is his son,
and now Starro does too.
Yeah. He's just really, well, we really want to talk about Starro
we will
League,
in
No Justice. Bruce probably knew about Project Batman Beyond because of watching Cadmus. Sure, maybe. This is all very conjecture-y.
If he infiltrated Cadmus's computers and found a folder called Project Batman Beyond, you know he was gonna open that.
Yeah.
Read about it.
What? This isn't important.
Yeah. And they might as well labeled it like, "Please don't read me, Batman. Don't open this folder, Batman."
Project Bruce Wayne's son. I don't need to see this.
This does not sound interesting.
Yeah, and also Bruce he saw Terry in Once and Future Thing, and then just remember, like, he gets to retain those memories. So you would think that being Batman, he would probably want to look up, like, or keep an eye on, like, who might become this Batman. Like, someone's going to become a new Batman, so I got to be ready for that. So I can see...
I think he might call him McGinnis a few times, even in the future.
I don't think so. He says, like, Terry, no, as he's dying or whatever, but Batman's not in the room when he says that. But there's...
Not the present-day Batman.
Yes. No, I'm saying present-day Batman is not in the room.
Yes, but
when
the
future Batman's...
Right. But but Batman's still in the room. It's just future.
God damn it. You're misunderstanding, James. Batman's always in the room.
There were like 3 Batmans in that scene.
Everything's relative, Tad. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that just means that when Terry shows up at his doorstep and is like steals a batsuit and stuff, that maybe Bruce Wayne has a little ding in his head of like, oh, it's this guy, and that's all that would amount to, really. But it doesn't help him understand that guy is his son. It just helps him understand that guy is the next Batman.
Sure. Yeah.
I'd say maybe Bruce has a hunch that he's related to him just because they look similar, or he doesn't believe in coincidence. He's said a couple times on the show, so he at least would probably be like, oh, if there's going to be anybody that's the next Batman, it's probably my kid. I don't know. There's really no way of knowing, but because all of this is, written after they anticipated doing this and all this stuff.
Yeah. You think Amanda Waller never told him? Does she say as much?
No, he just, like, Terry finds out from being a perfect donor for liver failure or whatever. And then he just goes right to her, as far as we know, because all those black and white flashback things are like what Terry might do, not what he has done, which is never really explained except by Dwayne McDuffie, I think, saying later, like, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's those. I'm gonna head over to YouTube, where we have a handful of other ones from people who have chimed in.
Have we ever talked about the other Cadmus files that are on that menu screen that the question takes?
Oh,
I was
like
looking
Lex
at?
Luthor's computer.
Yeah,
or
yeah. There's a lot of good stuff on
Yeah,
there.
there's some cool stuff in there.
There's
A lot
Project
of it we're using
Aztec.
for Legacies, so I'm not. We shouldn't talk about some of it, but
Yeah, yeah. There's like it says gin, like gin bottle or something. So that
Yeah.
that could be related to like Johnny Thunder and Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt, yeah. There's like New Deal '08. Like, what does that mean?
What is that? 2008. There's
What
a New
does
Deal.
that mean? Yeah. There sure is a New Deal.
I guess there's a new president. That's something we didn't explore in our president's
Yeah.
timeline video. Who's the president 2008? Is it President Obama?
Joe McPresident. There's the Oval Office recording. That's what Question watches. I'd have to bring up the image, the screenshot to remember what all's on there. But there's a lot of good stuff that we never see what it is.
Yeah.
There's like Aztec.
Yeah,
with a
Project
CH.
Aztec. Yeah, like a technology thing, which makes sense if it's Luthor because he funded the superhero
traditionally
Aztec.
in the comics.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that some of I think we'll be touching on later.
We'll have to wait and see.
So on back on the YouTube channel, I'm looking at people who have commented. Our guy Jacob Johnson, he comments on a lot of our stuff.
Hey, Jacob.
He says, "This is not a joke," in all caps. Did Bruce Wayne lose his virginity to Zatanna? I don't think we really have any way of knowing, but I would say it's possible only because when we see that flashback, she's being very flirty, and they're kind of like have a cat and mouse kind of like will they won't they thing going on, but also Bruce or like Kevin Conroy is using his like, oh, I'm just a really innocent Bruce Wayne voice instead of like his gruff Batman voice. And I don't think that's an act at this point. I think that's like still who Bruce is. So I'd say it's possible because Zatanna's being, hey,
Yeah, right.
look at my butt and stuff.
And is that I guess the like first romantic encounter that we have on record for Bruce? At least like in terms of the DCAU. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, there's your answer.
I personally, I don't think Bruce has ever lost his virginity, even by Batman Beyond times.
He's so like, I cannot date. I can't do anything ever. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny, actually.
I mean, there is the bit though in Batman Beyond 2.0 where Kyle Higgins introduced Barbara Gordon being pregnant with Bruce's child, so that would dispel my theory.
But that's only sort of canon, so,
right? So he's only sort of not a virgin.
She was only sort of pregnant.
Yeah.
And obviously, well, no. I was just kidding about this. I was just going to say, like, Amanda Waller had to have sex with Batman to get his DNA for Project Batman Beyond, but I'm just joking.
He left it all over town.
He sure did. Not remotely what she meant, though. Okay. Yeah, he just goes on all these dates and, like, is fawned over at every party he attends, and then he just goes, nope, and just leaves the room.
No, it's always like he'll look at his watch and be like, "Oh no, I forgot I had a very important business call with China because they're on the other side of the world and I have to call at their times."
He picks up a phone that no one has called. Oh, Lucius? Oh, you say you need me down at Wayne Enterprises right away?
or it's Alfred at Snipe and like he's just like, "Oh, Alfred, you need me down in the cave to to work on the car about the mystery."
Or like he's like really like about to get really intimate. Oh, the bat signal, I gotta go. Why? No,
I'm Batman.
Yeah, that's
I'm not gonna sleep
less
with you.
important to him. Yeah. Maybe that's every version of Batman is like that. So even when we see like Ben Affleck sit up in bed and there's a woman next to him, he just really needed someone to snuggle with because his parents are dead. Anyway,
the Adam West one is worse about it. He's like, "I'm sorry, I am just gonna talk like this while I figure out the excuse I'm gonna tell you to get away from this
I've-
romantic encounter.
You say you didn't bring a condom. All right, so let's move on from this subject. And Jacob has another one. He says, did Andrea Beaumont kill the Joker in the end? And this Joker is just Arthur Reeves. He did get gassed at the end of the movie.
First part,
I've
yes.
never heard
Second
that
part,
one
no.
Before. Yeah.
Joker has
you-
died.
you-
At least this is number 4. Fourth
Yeah,
death
you-
on record.
You think Joker has actually died and he just keeps being revived?
I used to think that Jokerized Arthur Reeves looked a lot like the Creeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that. So
Yeah, I had Valentina. She's a girl that draws a lot of our character designs for the website, and
she's great.
I had her do. I had her draw Arthur Reeves multiple looks, and one of them being his like crazy laughing version. I just had her use the Creeper as the base
There you go.
character model because but so we do see Arthur Reeves in a follow up to Mask of the Phantasm in the I think it's Batman and Robin Adventures annual number 2
That's right.
or 1, I can't remember.
It's 2.
But yeah, he's kind of turned into a Joker character. His face is permanently grin now, and he's I think he kidnaps Batman. I really can't remember what happens in the comic.
Yeah, I forget the details too. But yeah, he's crazy. He's full on supervillain.
Yeah, but they show at the end he like tries to run at Phantasm and knock her off a building, but he ends up just falling off a building himself. So he's dead, theoretically.
I got a question about the Creeper. I know that's not who we're talking about, but is he a
You
hero
mean the Creeper
or a
parentheses
villain?
Jack Ryder?
Yes, parentheses. Yes. Who he'll be in a issue of Batman Beyond pretty soon.
Yeah.
Jack Ryder was, but the Creeper will be teaming up. But yeah, is he a hero or a villain? That's something for the comments. I've always been curious. He's a member of the Justice League in the DCAU.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he only gets one episode in the new Batman Adventures, and at the end of it, he like rips the patch off that keeps him at bay.
He and
so
Batman are always like teaming up and hanging out because they had a story together in Adventures in the DCU.
Oh, maybe.
And they also had he was a guest star in the JLU book. So the animated Creepers had some appearances, but I guess he's like more of a hero in that world.
He's kind of just a loose cannon, and like he's just there to do whatever he needs to do. Not like a Catwoman where that he keeps switching sides, but like
I guess
I think he's pretty much a good guy, but he's just hard to control.
Chaotic good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Jacob has another one. Are there 3 Jokers in the DCAU since there are 3 different designs and there's said to be 3 in the comics? I'd say technically no. It's always the same guy, but I do
Tim
like
Levins
your...
has a yes to that, doesn't he? Where it's like every animated series is its own thing, and like Justice League has continuity callbacks to Superman and Batman, but it's like they're their own show. It's its own Joker. If you
I mean, he means like that's just how the DCAU has always looked.
Yeah.
Via that show. So like
I got you.
In Justice League, even though Superman looks slightly different than he did in his animated series, in the Justice League like lens on the DCAU, he has always looked like that.
And
so it's the same with the Joker.
I've never had like a
Batman.
problem with that, just because you have so many different artists in comics, and it's not a big deal. The joke, I don't think there are 3 separate Jokers in the DCAU, unless you think of like, well, now we have this Arthur Reeves Joker sort of guy running around, and now we have the Creeper.
The Creeper,
yeah, stuff like that. Tim Drake. He's a Joker.
Well, the basis of that's true. The basis of the 3 Jokers thing in the comics has a lot to do with like his personality is very different in like the different ages of comics.
And that's like Silver Age version, and then the Killing Joke version, and the modern day stuff.
Yeah, and I could see that kind of being applicable to the DCAU Joker, because between Batman the Animated Series, New Batman Adventures, and like Return of the Joker, Justice League Joker, they all 3 do act a little differently. Like New Batman Adventures Joker is a lot more kind of Looney Tunes, wacky Animaniacs kind of guy. Like he does a lot more goofy things and less like maniacal, murderous things.
Sure.
and Return of the Joker, like if they had the Return of the Joker flashback, I'm pretty sure that's a big reason why they redesigned him for that. Is like if they put New Batman Adventures Joker in that flashback, it wouldn't have been as like believable, I think, or as like scary of what he did if he just looks like a animaniac, you know.
Right.
So
the redesign was important. They gave him his eyes back, you know, and like
Yeah.
just being able to look into his eyes, like there's a certain level of, you know,
connection. Yeah.
Well, yeah, connection was just they're not just black pits of emptiness.
Yeah.
There's some terror.
So yeah, so I'd say, I mean, technically there's not, but I like the idea that he dies enough times that maybe there's some kind of weird, like, if he does actually die all those times, that maybe like some demons bringing him back or something, and like it's kind of messing with his soul a little bit.
Yeah. There's
so,
a lot of variations of what could be the reason why there's multiple Jokers and stuff, and that's still a mystery in the comics. We'll find out in the Three
we don't know.
Jokers series that comes out later in this year by Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok.
Yeah.
So
this is an interesting one that I've never heard before, but I kind of like it. This is Richard Snyder says, I've seen a few fanfics that suggest that Wally West in the DCAU and Young Justice Wally are one and the same. The idea being that he was displaced to the past of the DCAU after he disappeared. So they're talking about like the end of season 2 of Young Justice. He runs too fast or whatever and kind of disappears, which we assume in the show is like a Speed Force thing, and that he'll probably be back in this new season in some capacity or something. But I kind of like this, that he's like transported to the DCAU, and maybe that's why we have the Kid Flash costume in the museum and that sort of thing.
yeah.
The only thing I can see being a problem with this is that when the Justice League forms with Wally as a founding member, he doesn't go like, "Oh yeah, we did this when I was a little kid on a different
We
Earth."
called it the team.
Yeah.
It was just called the team.
Or there was already a Justice League there with all of you guys in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Zatanna's a lot older in this world.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of a cool idea. It's not. I don't know. I mean, Young Justice premiered like almost 5-6 years after.
But the
JLU
Flash is known
ended.
for his time travel. So
Yeah, true. I like it. I don't know if I personally believe it, but it's a cool idea. This is another one that I don't know if I agree with it, but I do like the ideas from Hanson. So I think this is like the band Hanson.
I
from
think
the,
so.
You know, Mbop.
Yeah. Nice.
Victor Fries essentially created a botched bathtub Lazarus pit. This is how he didn't die outright and how his head lasted into the future. He unlocked true immortality, but it came at a steep price. Raish or Raz or whatever most likely took note of it, but considered the cost too high and stuck to his traditional method. So I guess he's basically saying like the chemicals in a Lazarus pit, like Victor Fries accidentally created those same chemicals at trying to save Nora or whatever.
I don't know about
But
that.
he see when he in like Batman and Robin the movie, he falls into an actual like big vat of chemicals,
Right.
whereas in the DCAU he's just kicked into like a table full of vials of things.
I was
so
about to
I
say
would
maybe
say that-
Mr. Freeze is another Joker. Just
yeah,
because
there
you
you
fall
go.
in a pit of chemicals.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the third Joker.
He is a Joker. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, he does
He's
have
a
a lot of
Joker.
jokes. Put that cookie down.
You know,
Anyway.
I'm not a health nut or anything, but they say there's a lot of benefits to taking an ice bath or an ice shower. Something really cold.
So anyway, this Lazarus pit fan theory. Do you think Mr. Freeze could have accidentally created a Lazarus pit by
possible.
having chemicals sitting on a table that he was kicked into?
in the comics, there's only one character who's able to actually synthesize the Lazarus pit, and that was Jeffrey Burr, who is Cobra. And so
right.
that's a plot point from that. Yeah, he's had that. I don't know. That's a thing, and he's around in Batman Beyond, so it's possible Cobra might have done it in this world too.
I think this the Mr. Freeze immortality thing I think is different enough from the Lazarus pit, because the Lazarus pit, you know, makes you crazy for a few seconds and then you're okay.
You're
and
totally
you're
healed.
back to-
Mr. Freeze
or
has a
whatever.
condition now that keeps him immortal. I bet if he
Yeah,
took a
and
bath
he-
in the Lazarus pit, it would be gone, and he would be a normal person again.
Yeah, but yeah, because he's just like, I mean, when he's reborn in Batman Beyond, he has no
Body.
like, yeah, well, but he has
Just a
no
head.
lasting effects from the freeze stuff.
Besides
Uh,
losing the rest of his body, just being a head.
Yeah, okay, I'm talking about when he gets put into a new body.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So he has no like, oh, I have no emotions. I'm always frozen kind of stuff like he
Mhm.
did when he was a head spider. But when he is a head spider, he has no way to, like, he is slowly dying and his body's deteriorated and all this stuff, and he has no emotion. He has no connection to humanity anymore or whatever. Whereas like Ra's al Ghul is for more or less a normal person resurrected multiple times. So I'd say it's just another comic book thing, a different way.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's also, I think you're going to be a totally different immortal if you're losing anything below
Yeah.
the belt. You know, that
Yeah.
makes you a totally different person.
Yeah, I mean, Vandal Savage sat next to a meteor that made him immortal. That's a different thing. That's not like a Lazarus pit.
Yeah, but he still got his
Asteroid.
penis.
I'm saying this is God. Well, I'm sorry, people. I must say.
Just say that's why Mr. Freeze is a different type. He's a crankier immortal.
Right. That's why he has no emotion, because he has no genitalia.
That's
That's
the fan theory.
Yeah, that's our fan theory. I was gonna say you interviewed Mike Grell
I did
recently.
Yeah, very recently. Hopefully that'll be up
what-
on the channel sooner than
His
later.
say his resume for people.
Oh, say his
What does he
resume?
do?
Well,
Yeah.
he's done a lot, but he's mainly known for his work for DC. He created the character Warlord in Scar Terrace and all that world. That was the focus of the Justice League Unlimited episode, Chaos of the Earth's Core. And he did an extensive run on Green Arrow in the late 80s, which was actually a mature book. It was a line for mature readers. So there's lots of like violence and sex and stuff in the pages of his Green Arrow run, and it's actually pretty good. He was known for doing the Longbow Hunters, and that's a classic. Introduced Shadow, who's the main character in the Arrow. So he gave Green Arrow the hood. A lot of character defining moments there. He also did a book called Sable, which was a independent book that was kind of like a spy thriller. He's gone on to do like Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes and X-Men and all sorts of like he's got a big resume. I'm sure I'm just glancing over it. That's enough. But mainly Warlord
You're in love
and Green
with him
Arrow.
or something. No, yeah, I bring it up because I watched the first half of your interview with him. Obviously, I'll end up watching the whole thing, but I enjoyed that. Like, you mispronounced something. I can't remember.
It was early on. Yeah, what was it? It was Deimos. It was even before Deimos.
No, you were
Deimos.
afraid of saying that wrong, but I can't remember. Oh, it was the name of the Atlantean.
Oh
god
yeah,
or
Orion,
something.
or no, he called it Arion.
Yeah. So like, I thought it was funny that you did that, and then you just started like being very like skittish about like, don't you think it's funny how people say things the wrong way sometimes?
That's me. That's what I do.
No, like don't give yourself an excuse.
I needed that excuse.
You know, everybody does that.
Everybody does that.
It's their own weird ways of saying things. Promenade, that kind of thing.
I'm glad to know that's going to make it into the final cut of the interview.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Yeah.
I was hoping the 15 minutes might go down to like 10. And maybe
It'll be
that
at
part
10 and a
might
half.
meet the cutting board.
We'll see about that. So, okay. Super Very Man says.
How did you pronounce that?
Super Very Man.
Okay, sure.
Or maybe Super Veriman.
There we go.
Says, does Superman need air to breathe, or does he only think he does? I think in the DCAU he probably does need air.
Yeah. Yeah, because kryptonite will cripple him to the point where his body motor functions stop working. So I think kryptonite stops him from breathing.
Because for the most part, we only ever see him in space in a spacesuit, either the
Mhm.
Justice League Watchtower spacesuits or his like Star Lab spacesuits.
Right.
But there is the time when he like bursts out of the Watchtower to try to stop the BFG, and he's just like, I'm just gonna go. Like I know that that's like an urgent moment,
Mhm.
but then when he gets hit by the blast, he goes like and is just floating out in space until
Yeah.
I think Dr. Light comes and gets him or something.
Mhm.
So there's just like how long has he been out there not breathing and whatever.
I think he's
So
strong enough as long as he's near a yellow sun. Like,
yeah.
it doesn't matter if he's in space. Like, he'll be okay as long as the sun's,
Yeah, I think he's just if he's expecting to be out there for a long time, he's got to wear those suits.
I think if he's
Um,
expecting to talk to anybody, he should wear this suit too.
I guess so.
Yeah. Anything
But like
involving oxygen.
in Legacy, when we see how he gets captured by Apocalypse, he's in a spacesuit and then a beam blasted off of him, and he's just him in space as he's like falling unconscious. So that's another moment of like Superman's in space without a spacesuit and gets knocked unconscious by a beam. Those are the two times when we don't see him in a spacesuit. So I don't know how much evidence that is that he does not need to breathe, but
And if we want to like think about other mediums and stuff, like Superman the movie, he flies around the planet a few times and turns time backwards.
I think most Supermans that aren't the DCAU Superman can breathe without or do not need to breathe or whatever. But we also see a Superman wearing like a little mask when he's underwater. We see him in the scuba suit when he's underwater another time. Like I think he needs air.
The DCAU Superman's was like kind of underpowered anyway, just to make him a little more compelling. So like I think our Superman's just a little weaker.
And it's kind of weird whether or not Man of Steel Superman needs air also, because when he breathes in the like Kryptonian atmosphere, it starts messing with him and he's like throwing up blood and stuff like that. But at the same time, he just punches a hole in the spaceship and is just standing there talking to Jor-El in space as Space Jesus for like 5 minutes without breathing. So I don't really know. And he's floating in space after putting Doomsday up there and not breathing. I don't know. And I mean, that could be that they don't know what they're doing with those movies.
And he's been buried. He's been killed and buried underground and not able to
came
breathe.
back. Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah.
All right. GS Money Baby XXL says Lex Luthor and Darkseid and the Source Wall. Yes.
Oh yes, I think
The
so.
answer is yes.
Yes, I think that's where they went.
Yeah. This is. I mean, I know that you're probably wanting us to talk about it, but we don't really know anything about it. It just happens. They get poofed, and then according to Dwayne McDuffie, that's where they went. Is they're now part of the Source Wall.
Go back and check out Legacies number 0 and
look
at the Source Wall there. Maybe somewhere along the left side of the panel.
Maybe I have no idea.
You might find a cool Easter egg there.
Winston
Churchill.
Oh no, SHIH. Shit. I'm sorry, Winston. Says how Batman fought crime in Gotham in Justice League era. Yes.
Well, we saw it a little bit in the Batman Adventures comic, and he's wearing the Justice League iteration of the suit, which could be the same version of the new Batman Adventures suit.
It sure is.
You have a long 18-minute video all about it.
Well, lots of people like it, Ted, so it's not too long.
Nope.
I mean, there's plenty of times when they're like, "Hey, Batman, come help us," and he's like, "I'm busy."
Yeah,
and that's all.
Yeah.
So he's doing Gotham stuff. He has plenty of time.
Gotham hasn't gone anywhere, as far as we know.
And it's definitely not like back-to-back days per Justice League episode. There might be a few that are like that toward the end of season 1 and some of season 2, but there's not. There's like big 6-month, 8-month kind of gaps. There's plenty of time for Batman to go back.
And you fit a few of the like Gotham Girls and Batman and Harley. Those kind of stories fit more into the Justice League time period, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like some of the books like Batman, Harley and Ivy.
And the movie Batman and Harley Quinn is during Justice League Unlimited.
That's right.
It's, but that's not canon because I don't
Mystery
like
of the Batwoman? That Mystery Batwoman now takes place after
That's
everything.
True. Yeah.
According to the plasma rifle.
It sure is. Yeah. So yes, he does that. Jax very much influenced Man of Steel General Zod, especially looks.
Opposite.
Yeah. I would say General Zod's looks in Man of Steel is influenced by General Zod, not by anything else.
I mean, Zod's been around since the 60s, maybe even earlier than that.
Is he original to the Superman movie?
No, he's from the
Okay,
books.
okay.
And in the Silver Age, he looks like a general. He's wearing like a general's uniform, and everything comes from Krypton. And
he's also in Superman Adventures. Like Jaxer and Mala recruit him to help them fight Supergirl and Superman.
And he shows back up for the JLU comic later.
Yeah, actually, I might have gotten that wrong. I don't know if he works alongside Jaxer and Mala or if Granny Goodness gets him or something. But he's there, and so he's a separate character in that universe, even, and doesn't look the same really.
And
I mean, they both have black beards. That's pretty much the
in the episode for The Man Who Has Everything, Superman's imaginary son is named Zod, isn't it? Or
no, but he has a friend. Yeah, he's like, little. You gotta go to little Zod's birthday party or whatever.
Right. Yeah. What am I thinking of? It was Superboy in the Justice League Beyond 2.0 comic. There was the Superboy character who is revealed
like
to be
Zod's son or something.
Well, I think his name is Zod, and it's Jaxer and Mala's son.
Right.
Something.
Okay.
Or Jaxer and Wonder Woman. I forget. Or
Jaxer
Justice Lord
and a Phantom Zone monster.
It could have been like Justice Lord Superman and Wonder Woman's son.
Yeah, I gotta
was being
read that
taken
again.
care of by Jaxer. It's a great series. I'm a little rusty on it too.
That's all that we got from people.
Okay,
there's a couple other comments, but we could either save them for a different time or save them for the Untitled mail segment, or I'm not really sure. But we should probably get to comic relief and then wrap up the podcast.
Okay.
As things go in the world of this. You want to sing the comic relief song to get us into comic relief?
I forget how it goes, but I'll make up a new one. It's comic relief.
That was bad. I think it was something like, it's time for comics. I'm relieved.
That's good.
I believe that's how it goes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I, who had to listen to it like 3 times. All right. So what did you read, Ted?
I read
watch, or do?
Scott Snyder's Justice League books. I read the first 2 issues.
Let's just talk about only that.
Yeah.
Because that'll be what mine is.
That works for me.
I finally finished No Justice.
Yeah, we can talk about the ending of that too if you want to, because it kind of goes directly into this new Justice League series. So yeah, tell me your take on No Justice since you're a little fresher on it. It's been a few weeks since I finished it.
I thought it was a bit of a cop-out, a little bit rushed, because there's these giant, like, the worst monsters you've ever fought, and they shoot an arrow into them. Like, I understand that it's, they had to do this in, like, 4 issues or whatever, but I think they did a lot of build up over 3 issues and then a very quick conclusion.
Yeah. I mean, that's I kind of expected to, because you're not gonna have these alien god things still trying to eat Earth after the series is over.
I suppose, yeah, but they could have. I don't know. I'm not the writer of this. I'm not as good of a writer as the people that write this comic, but I can certainly critique that I felt it was a little rushed at the end.
Were you familiar with Vril Dox, Brainiac 2? Or
I thought that was the name of Brainiac 5, but I guess it's not.
Yeah,
or at least in this universe, I don't know.
I mean, they are all related.
That's why I was confused, and they were calling him that, because I was like, what?
Now, Brainiac 5 is also a 12th level intellect, so we'll have to get him on the show at some point.
Yeah, we should got to interview him.
His name is Quirrell Dox.
Oh, so, okay.
I mean, definitely related to Vril Dox.
He got doxed.
Yeah. But yes, it sets him up to be the new Brainiac.
Yeah, new Brainiac.
And he's going to have all of the villain's memories downloaded.
Did he actually successfully steal those? Because I feel like he was going to and then didn't get to.
Yeah, I think it's on his radar. I'm sure he'll pop back up in the Justice League book.
I did like how they're like, oh, we'll get Brainiac's son to help us. Like, he's a good person. And then he's like, no, you let my planet explode. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a good person.
Which
So
you can't blame
that was
him.
kind of cool.
Robin,
Yeah.
Damian Wayne was warning Batman against it
Yeah.
the entire time. He's like, why are we trusting this
Yeah.
guy? We shouldn't be.
Yep.
Come on.
I did, like you had mentioned before, I did really like all the interactions with characters we might not have ever seen talk to each other, like Starro and Deathstroke, or Lobo and Raven. You know, just stuff like this that we
Starro,
like.
I know I messaged this to you. He was a breakout star.
Yeah.
Uh,
Breakout star.
He's a breakout star.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I like. He also got breaked out when his arms got ripped off and he died.
Yeah, that's true. He did die. Starro, rest
That
in
actually
peace.
made me a little upset because I liked his character a lot.
He was more comic relief this time around. Whereas like even a few years ago, there was a series called Rebels that was it actually starred Vril Dox. The Brainiac 2 was the main character. And Starro the Conqueror was the main villain. It was actually like a dude, like an alien dude who controlled all the stars. Those like starfish creatures were like his minions. So I don't know if that's still canon with Rebirth because that series came out even before Flashpoint. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure in like the first or second volume of the New 52 Justice League, since I've been reading that, he like Starro shows up in like a panel that's like an homage to the cover
original.
of Justice League #1 or whatever it is.
Brave and the Bold #26. Yeah.
Sure, that's what I mean. But yeah, where like, oh, that's their first bad guy or whatever.
Right.
But then that's like the only time you ever see him up until this more recent stuff.
Yeah, well, that's something
my
I noticed in this Justice League book. So issue #2, there's a bit of stuff from John Stewart. I don't want to like skip there if we're not done with No Justice, but just to touch on it, I noticed like a callback to the Cosmic Odyssey story from the 1980s by Jim Starlin and Mike Mignola. That's always been a character-defining moment for John Stewart because of the death of the planet Xanshi, which John was responsible for destroying. So he and Martian Manhunter have a sort of conflicted relationship from there, and that is referenced here in issue #2 of Justice League. So he's pulling from that thread and referencing that.
We might as well talk about that since it's the newer stuff. Yeah, I do like that. There are a lot other than the lineup of the Justice
Should
League
we
being
set it
very
up
similar.
real quick? Like,
Sure,
so No
sure.
Justice. There's like the source wall and everything got punctured at the end of Dark Knight's Metal. And by the end of No Justice, we see that the Green Lantern Corps is doing all they can to help rebuild the source wall, at least temporarily, while they figure out exactly how
or at least like
fix
hold it closed or whatever.
Yeah. Which seems to be using up a lot of their almost the entire Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on in their own book, but there's a lot like Hal Jordan's over there, Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, and then we have John Stewart, who's doing his own mission for the Guardians. He was actually kind of in charge of the Green Lantern Corps for a little while in the most recent Green Lantern Corps book. And he ends up running into Sinestro, who's got a new piece of the emotional color spectrum, part of the invisible spectrum. He discovers the ultraviolet Lantern Corps. Which seems to be rooted in hatred, which seems similar to Red, which was rage. But...
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, but I'll just let it slide because at this point they just they can just introduce new concepts every issue and it's fine.
I think it was a way to get Sinestro back in his like blue purple looking outfit.
Yeah. What was it that I like how he says you've seen me in green and yellow, but now I found the color that I was looking for the whole time or something. Yeah. Because he was just been dressing in purple and his skin is purple.
Yeah, it matches his skin, you know? Like if anything, Sinestro has always been a very fashionable supervillain.
Yeah.
He's always had a good design sense.
I mean, like Lex Luthor has formed a Legion of Doom, but is probably going to like immediately do away with them or like use them for his own schemes or whatever. Like he's not. It's set up to be like it's gonna be kind of like Rock of Ages, where there's like just a Legion of Doom team that they're fighting, but then it's kind of like
A bigger
immediately
threat.
he's like, just kidding, I wasn't even here. I'm inside Superman in
Yeah.
a tiny rocket
What
ship.
is that giant head that they're looking at? What are they calling it? The totality? It's
Yeah.
literally this giant, like, cancerous looking head that just appears in the desert, and they have to go figure out
Yeah,
what's going on.
because at the start of #1 of that series, you see Kamandi watching it fly through space. You see the
Oh
Justice League
yeah.
or the Justice Legion watching it fly through
Mhm.
space. You see the Quintessence watching it fly through space.
The monitor.
Everybody's like, "Oh God, this is gonna suck," at like all
Mhm.
different time periods and all different universes. And then it lands on Earth, but it's at this point almost identical to the movie Annihilation that just came out. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
if you have watched that.
No, not
It's
yet.
like Killer Croc goes in and comes out completely morphed, like
Mhm.
DNA wise, and that's exactly what the Annihilation bubble does.
And
in that
Legacies special. Asylum.
Yeah. Well, we didn't make him
He wasn't that
a
twisted.
yeah.
We got a lot
Yeah.
of flack though from some readers being like, "Why'd you mutate Killer Croc?" It's like, well, if you were
Yeah.
mad at us, read Justice League #2.
Yeah. No, they're gonna, all those same people will comment, I don't know about what you did with Killer Croc, but I like the rest of it.
We mentioned earlier in our opening about Swamp Thing being in this issue and how he's like used as a interplanetary comm link just because
Yeah.
Jon Stewart turned off his Justice League comms and telepathic link is off, and so there has to be this like magic flower that ends up growing into Swamp Thing that turns into Batman communicating
Yeah,
through
like how it
Swamp
just
Thing.
keeps changing. Like, and
Yeah.
now he's like, even Jon Stewart's like, wait, Batman, what is going
Yeah.
on?
And in the background of the phone call, it starts to like break up because they're in the middle of the fight with the giant Killer Croc
Yeah.
monster. So I enjoyed that.
Oh, why did my Xbox make a sound just now?
I
Anyway,
hope that they have a different means of communication in every issue. So far, so
yeah.
good. Martian Telepathy issue 1, Swamp
for
Thing
two.
issue 2.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, I like.
my vote is maybe we'll have Plastic Man do the thing where you have your ears go stretch out around the corner. I don't know.
He's straight. He can. Anyone he touches, now that he's hatched out of his egg, anyone that Plastic Man touches also have Plastic Man powers, so everyone can just stretch their ears out to each other.
It's like a King Midas of plastic instead of gold.
Yeah, or like in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, when they all touch each other and swap powers. Remember that great movie?
No, that sounds like something you should watch at nighttime with your lights off on your own time, James.
That sounds like something you should never watch again.
So
Side note,
yeah.
I sent Daniel Dockery. He's a guy, you know him obviously, but I'm explaining for the people. We share a lot of his articles from.
He writes for Sci-Fi, like the
yeah,
TV channel,
Cracked and
sci-fi.com.
stuff. Yeah, he writes a lot of DCAU like comedic articles. I sent him our Batsuit video that we just put out with the message, "Hey, thought you might like this video," and he just got back to me, "I do like this video." So I just had to mention that.
He's a funny guy.
We've gotten a lot of good feedback from that, actually, from producers of the show even. Anyway, just had to throw that in there because I'm really famous.
Cool. Yeah.
So, okay, back to Justice League. I think
The Legion of Doom has a baby. You want to talk about that baby?
Oh yeah, so Grodd's like, "Oh, is this who I think it is?" And then I'm like, "Can you tell me who it is? Because I have no idea."
I don't know either. So like looking at the baby, there's a panel with like all this green light flowing.
Yeah, and he
around
has a
it.
green blanket.
Yeah, and the Flash is talking like on the next page about the turtle, about his supervillain who has the still force. So I'm thinking maybe it's related to that, but that's like a really strange.
Yeah, red herring. Yeah, why would you have the turtle? Why is he so important? Yeah.
I mean, like the panel of the baby also almost looks like he has a mask on, like a Green Lantern mask, but that doesn't make much sense either. Maybe it's like Baby Alan Scott. They're like, no way, that can't be the right answer. But
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. The what was I gonna say?
I'm gonna say
the turtle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, turtle. Go for it.
The turtle thing is weird to me because I think that's also just a red herring for what's going wrong with Flash. Because I'm hoping that the stuff that's going wrong with Flash isn't just only addressed in the Flash title. Like, I'm assuming that's kind of a carryover from something that's happening to him
Yeah, it
on
might
that
be.
side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope that it's something. I feel like it's probably just a Speed Force thing that's happening because of the source wall bursting open, and I hope that we just see what's going on in this comic instead.
Yeah, I mean, I know Scott Snyder's paid a lot of attention to Grant Morrison's multiverse map and the way it's lined out with the source wall and the Speed Force and everything. They're
Yeah.
all very related, so I
Yeah.
have no doubt. Yeah, but I'm sure it'll be revealed here. I almost wonder if the stuff going on in the Flash title, I'm not reading it right now, but if
Yeah.
it's like something totally different, but just happens to be a similar plot point. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, because I mean, he's building like a car, but then he says it's for the Titans, so that's just something that'll show up in their book that I won't read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. I was gonna say that the team lineup obviously is similar to the animated show, and the whole Xanshi thing with Green Lantern is sort of similar to the Ajuris 4 or 5 or whatever he destroys in Blackest Night. But that's probably based on Xanshi
It is.
anyway.
Yeah.
But I like that it's kind of just it all kind of circles back. And I really liked the Jean Jones like telepathic meeting room thing that they
Yeah,
did.
in the first issue, that was really cool.
Yeah, there were like it kind of made me think like, oh, I wonder, when the quintessence meets up and talks when it's a very similar like setting and stuff. Like I wonder if one of them is just doing that and they're actually where they're supposed to be on their different planets and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see them somehow having that power. Like Phantom Stranger, you would think would probably be able to do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we also see, I don't know if this is just maybe a more modern quintessence than what our like Legacies
Well, it's got
one is kind of
Hera,
based
Hera
on.
instead of Zeus.
Yeah, because they have Hera. Yeah. So, and there was someone else in there that I didn't recognize. I can't remember. But what else? I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm just gonna talk about how.
Luthor.
Yeah, the very
sorry.
beginning scene with Luthor. Yeah, I did want to mention that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he and Jean have had a interesting relationship because it seems like they're both aware that something even bigger is coming out of the Justice League's tampering with the Source Wall and everything. And so Jean's preparing the League, Luthor's preparing the Legion of Doom, and he's coming across these mysterious doors that I guess they appear in random places. I don't know.
Yeah, just doorknobs or something. Yeah.
But he finds one at this place that his dad used to go to just to go get drunk. And he ends up just blowing it all up. And he names drop his dad as Lionel Luthor, so that's kind of a cool nod to Smallville and everything. And Lex is very much like, I even thought there's one panel where he's drawn so much like animated Lex, like he has this facial expression that looks a lot like the Justice League version. So that was kind of fun to see him in like classic suit Lex, like business pitch. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how this all lines up time wise with each other, because he says like, I think he says like, oh, 6 months ago I was at this bar doing this thing and I came across the doorknob, but like, is that flashback still after the Source Wall gets burst open? And has it actually been that long now since they've fought the Omega Titans and all that stuff?
No.
Did it skip ahead or something?
Yeah, I don't think it's been 6 months. But like maybe this happened before. It's very strange because before No Justice, Lex was a member of the Justice League during the Darkseid War. And he went on to have his own Superman suit. And he was even like sitting on the throne of Apocalypse for a minute. And were you reading those books during Rebirth about Lex Luthor? I forget which series it was.
He's in Action Comics.
Yeah.
Where he just is kind of I didn't really know completely what was going on. He's just like a good guy, but he's not, and all this weird stuff.
But he was not an Apocalypse then. Because they left him as like ruler of Apocalypse at the end of Darkseid War.
I think he took over after New 52 Superman dies as Superman.
Yeah, he did that too.
But then the normal Superman comes back and he's like, oh, JK. But he's still been in this weird limbo of like, am I a superhero? I don't know.
Yeah, but then in No Justice, he's clearly back in his like green and purple
Yeah.
suit and everything, and aligning himself with villains again.
Being maniacal and stuff.
Yep.
All right. Well, I liked it. I'm looking forward to it. I think there was one thing that was kind of dumb when Luthor's talking about, like, near the end, he's like, we have to find the 7 blah blah blahs in order to do the thing, and I was like, we just got done with the 3 wisdom trees.
Yeah,
and
I know.
That we had the different
Yeah.
types of metal and all this stuff. I'm like, can you just stop with the we gotta find the
collecting.
things?
Mm-hmm.
We gotta find the 6 MacGuffins. Like, just leave it alone for a sec. Do something different.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too when that was brought in there. But yeah, there's still a lot of really awesome stuff going on, and I'm really
Yeah.
loving the series. It's this is like what a Justice League book should be, and it hasn't
Yeah.
been this good. And like even Jeff Johns' run, like I love Jeff Johns as a writer, and his run had some really strong places here and there, like Forever Evil and Trinity War, but overall it was a little disappointing. But and like Darkseid War was so fun with like characters like the Anti-Monitor and Darkseid, and getting to see fleshed out Fourth World stuff in Jeff Johns' style. But I don't know, the thing as a whole wasn't as epic or as strong as I would have liked. And
Okay.
my litmus test for the Justice League is the GLA run by Grant Morrison from the
Yeah.
90s. That was just like peak perfection, and this series is reminding me a lot of that run, and that's a really good thing.
I'm kind of noticing while reading a lot of the old 90s stuff that you suggest to me, and reading New 52 stuff and reading the current stuff, is like the biggest thing you can ever do with the DC universe is either the multiverse is going to explode, or Darkseid.
Mhm.
Like, anything in between doesn't seem as important or epic or whatever.
Yeah,
But they just keep doing those two things back and forth all the time, and it's usually in different enough ways that are enjoyable. But I think that they got to find something that is, and maybe we're leading to something like that with this whole source wall thing. I'm not positive.
Yeah.
Metal is not really I mean, I guess metal is a multiverse falling apart
is.
thing. So
Yeah.
it's yeah.
it is.
I don't know.
And this is ramifications of it. But I mean,
It's kind of just
yeah.
a critique of the comic book genre in general. Like, you can't. It's anything, you're limited to whatever.
The
but
multiverse has always been rooted in like the DC Comics' crossover history, like even as early as the Justice League meeting the Justice Society in their books, and like the
Right,
Flash
yeah.
of Two Worlds, like it's all very multiverse heavy. We mentioned Mike Grell earlier. He has a funny, I asked him if there was any pressure from DC to integrate Warlord into the regular universe in different ways, and he said that Julie Swartz was asked about Warlord one time in relation of the DC universe, saying like, well, Superman's flown in, he's thrown straight through the earth a few times, in one and out the other, like he would have found Skartaris if it lived in the center of the earth.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, that means it's not on Earth 1, it's not on Earth 2, it's not on Earth Prime, it's on Earth Grell. That's what they said. It was like Mike Grell has his own Earth that he gets to keep everything on, and nobody messes with him. He doesn't.
It's
mess with anyone
outside
else.
the source wall.
Yeah. So that's another nice snippet from that interview. We can look for
Yeah.
that pretty soon.
All right, I do want to do a quick mail segment of just a couple things we got that could be pretty quick answers.
We'll have a female segment one day too.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, ladies. If you are a lady and you listen to this podcast, like, that's pretty cool. I didn't expect that.
Sorry for all the dick jokes this time around.
Yeah, that's a little unrepresentative. Anyway,
I'll put a freeze on those.
Yeah. A misrepresentative, is that
Well, I said
female superhero?
I'll put a freeze
Okay.
on those jokes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. Greg Sanders says, not a theory, but something that bothers me. Did the death of Blight feel right to you? It felt weird that they never brought Blight back, and I wondered if you guys thought so too.
Well, when Joker can die 4 times, Blight can die at least once.
Once, yeah. Well, I kind of agree, I guess, because we think he's dead at the end of the Mr. Freeze episode, but he comes back, and I believe the last time we see him is when he's like in a submarine
That sounds
to
right.
hide his radiation from Batman's detection.
Or are you
And
thinking
then-
of you're thinking of Static Shock? Don't they end the
No.
show in a submarine?
No, there's a big boat, I think.
Oh, that's
But,
close.
yeah. But
Right.
no, Blight's hiding his radiation on his sub, and Batman finds him anyway. And then he's just like taunting Blight, like, "Hey, I'm over here, idiot!" And he's like, "Stop it, go away!" and throwing flame balls at him. And then like
As
the
one
sub
does.
gets sunken, like he sinks in the sub and supposedly dies. That's the last time you see him. They could easily bring him back
Yeah.
in that, as you know, because
And he comes back in the
Does-
comics. The
does
Batman
he?
Beyond comics. Not,
the
I mean, like the more recent ones that are more DCU inspired.
Okay. I don't know.
Well, he did.
I guess I kind of agree that it was a little bit weird, and also he dies in like season 1. Like
Yeah, that was
there's
too
two more
early.
seasons of the shows. I always thought was weird, like that Blight's
Yeah.
set up to be like his Joker, and then
They
just
take him off
is
the table
gone
too
so
early.
quickly. Yeah.
His brother, Paxton Powers, comes around later in
Yeah.
this show.
Yeah, and he's kind of more of a Lex Luthor-y figure of just doing,
He's a Jared
Doing-
Kushner.
yeah, doing
He's not a
evil
Luthor.
businessman things.
He's expendable.
He's also voiced by Carrie Elwes,
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
Princess Bride guy.
Nice.
He saws his foot off in the end of Saw. Spoilers.
That's why they call it that.
That's why they call him Paxton Powers.
That's why they call it Saw.
Oh, yeah. Only other thing we got here is Mohinish.
And you're giving me crap
Well,
for how I pronounce names?
Shush, you don't have to read names. He says, "Are there 2 Harley Quinns as established in the White Knight series?" I think he's talking about like in the DCAU.
Are there
No.
there are 3 Harleys.
God damn it. There's Harley from Mad Love, and then there's Harley, the replacement Harley from Joker's Millions, and then there's old Harley Quinn from Return of the Joker.
And Didi's count as half a Harley each.
Yeah, you're right. And so there's like 4. Yeah. And then there's also a 5th Harley in Batman and Harley Quinn, since that's not canon because I don't like it.
Does she have a Harley
there's
motorcycle?
also- Yeah.
So she's
There's lots of Harley Quinns.
she better not need a
I mean,
replacement.
the real answer is no.
There's steel
But
tariffs.
the real answer is yes.
Steel tariffs make those Harley motorcycles expensive now.
Yeah, see, that's how the Dini twins were born. Is all Harley Quinns. Never mind. I'm not going to say this. There might be a lady listening to the podcast.
All right.
Well, that's the end. That's the end of the podcast, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, so White Knight though, there's no reason for there to be 2 Harleys like that, because we don't have a version of Harley in this world that's like the crazy violent Suicide Squad version. Even though
Right.
our Harley does go to the Suicide Squad in the Batman and Harley tie-in comics that tied them. with the
Yeah, or
recent
they
movie.
come to her. But
Yeah, she's still wearing the pigtails and looking a little different, but
yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah.
She's her own person.
She is. And
Singular.
This is her universe. She started here. This is.
All right. The end. Thank you for listening, everybody. This podcast is out every other Monday on iTunes
It's a
and YouTube.
bi-weekly, geekly, whatever.
Yeah, the bi-weekly Geek Entertainment Podcast. I want to give a shout out to the Tim Talk. That's Tim, Timm, as in Bruce Timm, podcast. They have mentioned us several times, and they plug our videos and stuff. So I just wanted to give them a thank you, because we don't talk about them often enough. You should go listen to them. They do like every episode of the DCAU discussions. They just finished Superman the Animated Series. They didn't have a lot of good stuff to say about Legacy. They were kind of bored with it and like relieved to be done watching the Superman cartoon. Which I guess I sort of can see.
It's a
but
heavy
I don't
ending.
know.
It's a good ending, though. There's some amazing
Yeah.
animation in there.
Yeah.
Especially I love the Darwin Cook scene in part 2, where Superman's flying towards the Apocalypse throne
Yeah.
room. Yeah. There's some good stuff.
They mentioned that they like the episode more for what it sets up later for Superman and Darkseid, but
Twilight.
don't like it as much as its own episode, I guess. To each their own. A League of Their Own. Static Shock, season 3. Anyway, thanks to Adam Mullen for our music. He writes the theme music that we all know and love.
We all love the theme.
Every video, and this podcast as well. We're on social media at DCAU Watch. Oh, sorry. Adam's website is musica-atomica.com. We're on social media at DCAU Watchtower. You can also email us at info@watchtowerdatabase.com if you want to send us suggestions of stuff to talk about or ask us questions that we can bring up in Untitled Mail segment. We got videos on the channel every week, Sunday, Thursday, then Monday, Tuesday. Today's the Monday, so tomorrow is Trivia Tuesdays, and then next week there will be a Sunday video and a Thursday video. So you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, Watchtower Database, so you never miss a single thing.
Or the Patreon page, so you get it early.
Yeah, the patreon.com, currently /JTS Entertainment. That might change.
It's probably going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, we got lots of cool stuff in there you can check out now, but it's also going to be updating pretty soon. I've said that the last 3 episodes, but I think for real season's going to update pretty soon. I was going to say, in terms of subscribing to the YouTube channel, apparently there's a thing now where, you got to hit the little bell if you want notifications. That's been a thing for a while, but now you also have to tell it that you always want notifications, or else you only sometimes get them. So they just continue to make it harder for you to actually know when we post videos. If you memorize the schedule, you can just check in, but you shouldn't have to do that. Anyway, that's the end of this show, and thanks for listening again. And Ted, say a funny thing to end this podcast.
It's been episode 20. Yay. That's a big number. Let's have 20 more.
No, I say something funny.
Oh, something funny.
Thank you.